It's way closer than you probably wanted to be to my face in this. Oh, the headroom, the headroom, the headroom. Hey, I'm Joe, and today I want to share with you 5 tips for beginning filmmakers that I've learned over the last 10 years of my career as a filmmaker and editor. A lot of these things I've learned the hard way, and I kind of want to share them with you today so that maybe you don't have to. Tip number 1 is to always prep your gear the night before your shoot. I found that it helps to have either a mental or oftentimes a physical checklist of the gear that I'm gonna need. I run down what I need for my camera, media, batteries, tripod, any other support systems. If you're using a dolly or a gimbal, make sure I have all the grip gear I need. How many stands do I need? How many sandbags should I be bringing along? Do I need diffusion? Do I need a lot of flags? Are we gonna do some big overhead shots outdoors? I run through all of that stuff. For me, it always helps me have way more peace of mind that I have everything packed up. I know it's there. Everything is prepped. So that day of the shoot, I get up, do a real quick dummy check to make sure I didn't leave anything out. Saves me so much headache from job to job, having all that stuff prepped the day or the night before, and I think it will for you too. The second thing that I would suggest as a tip that's not so obvious, I feel like, for a lot of beginners and even for a lot of folks that have been doing this a long time, is to invest in batteries. And I know that that may feel like a weird tip, but I promise you, when it comes to your gear, having a plethora of batteries or good battery power systems like V-mounts or gold mounts are going to save you so much frustration down the road. Having battery operated lights like what I'm using here and some of the other lights that you've seen me use on my channel are a game changer when you're trying to move fast. Another thing that I think is underrated in the battery space is hanging on to some rechargeable AA batteries. It can be super handy to have rechargeable AA's for your lav mics or for some of that other gear that might take those, because you can always have some running in the background, always have some fresh ones to swap out. Again, limiting any level of downtime that you might have on set. And I know, this feels like a stupid way to spend money, but I promise you, you will not be sad that you have an excess of batteries in your kit. The third big tip that I have from the last 10 years really comes from my background as an editor. I got my first editing job back in 2013. And since then, I've gone through several iterations of how I manage files and how I take care of my projects. But the big tip here is to stay organized. Keep your files organized, keep your projects organized. If you're editing, keep your bins organized. I know for a lot of creatives this can be a challenge, and I know that a lot of us aren't wired this way, but I promise you, if you are doing a lot of client work specifically, that having organized files is gonna save you so much headache and time in the future when somebody comes back and says, hey, I wanna make a revision to that video we shot 3 years ago. If you don't have organized files, it's gonna be a mess. And while a client may not hold you to a project that happened 3 years ago to find a tiny specific piece of footage, if you can find that for them and deliver on something and be organized and quickly turn that around, they're gonna notice. If you're interested in more information about like how I organize my projects and my files, you can check out the video that I've done in the past talking about how you can edit faster. A big piece of that for me is staying organized. My fourth tip for you shooters out there, this one's also gonna sound obvious. You're probably gonna laugh in your chair if you're the one behind the camera, is to check and recheck your focus regularly, especially in interview shots. It's really easy to set up an interview shot and feel like you got it locked off, they're not moving much, everything's gonna stay in focus, you're fine. Come back into the edit, they were in focus for the first 70% of the interview, but the last 30% they just drifted ever so much and they're a little bit soft. But at the end of the day, that just shouldn't happen. An easy way to do this, specifically within interview situations, is to just rack focus between takes. If you have a director or a creative director on set that's asking questions, when they finish their answer, re-rack focus, double check. Make sure you have your focus peaking on and you're checking against it. Use your focus magnification to make sure everything is sharp. And another tip for that too is if you don't have to be shooting wide open, don't. If you can avoid it, stay around f4, 5, 6, something like that. Get a little bit deeper focus plane so that you can give them some room to breathe, room to move, and you'll avoid that 99% of the time. And finally, tip Tip number 5 to me, I think, is the biggest one. I know a lot of these have been random, been pulled from various parts on set, whether you're operating cameras or working as an editor, but this one to me, I think, stretches across the entire gamut of filmmaking. From pre to post-production, being on set, wherever you are, it is the tip to take home from this video. And that is learning to be flexible. On set, in the edit, in meetings, learn how to work with people, how to be a collaborator, how to understand that the client's vision may not 100% be aligned to the prettiest shot that you wanted to make. It's really easy to get beholden to your vision, to get passionate about a shot or an edit or a transition or something cool that you did, and get so frustrated when somebody comes in with their opinion or their feedback on how they don't think that should work. But I promise you, if you're the guy or gal out there that is doing this work and you're able to say, you know what, I really love what I did there, but I see what you're saying. Let's try it your way, see how it works. If we love it, we'll move forward with that. Maybe it'll teach us to go a different direction with this project. And I want to be clear here that being flexible doesn't mean you don't have an opinion. It just means that you're not so rigid in that as to not understand that somebody else might have an opinion as well, or a vision as well, or input to give that is valuable. But being flexible and willing to move and really collaborate is what's gonna keep clients calling you back. It's what's gonna keep crew members coming back to work with you. You could win all the awards, have the best shots, be the most skilled DP in the business. But if you're nobody's gonna wanna work with you. And if they do, it's surely to elevate their own career and not because they're passionate about what you're doing. Don't do that as a filmmaker. It will absolutely help your career move forward and at least make you enjoyable to work with, which honestly is like 70% of this business. All right, I know I said 5, but it's been 10 years, so I've got a couple bonus tips too. The first one is that ego is your enemy. If you've been doing this for a while, you probably already know. You're always gonna be learning. Every time you step on set, you're gonna learn something. Always be getting better, even if it's incremental, 1%, 2%. Every job, one little thing, getting a little better. And always stay humble. And bonus tip 2.0, a practical one. If you're gonna be on set as a DP or an AC or a grip or whatever, buy a multi-tool. I mean, for God's sakes, buy a multi-tool. All right, that's it. It's not everything I've learned in my 10 years, not even close, but it is 7 things that I feel like I've picked up along the way that I could impart to you if you're starting down your journey or early on your journey in filmmaking. I hope it's helpful. If you haven't, please subscribe. I'd love to share more with my journey and my history in this industry with you. It's such a cool thing that we get to do. I'm just humbled that you gave me your attention. So thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you next time. Just keep doing your thing. So you're still there? There's no way you're still there. Got my notes on my phone if you probably caught that. Making notes is another good tip. It's like tip 8. I didn't really learn that over the 10 years. I've known that for a long time, but seriously, you're making me blush now. Guys, I gotta go.